What's going on, Vikings fans? I got 99 problems. Well, actually, 99 subs away from 3,000. So if you're a diehard Vikings fan, if you find yourself looking for the latest news, rumors, everything free agency going on around the Vikings, what the hell are you waiting for? Hit that sub button. Tons, and I mean tons of Minnesota Vikings rumors circulating around here on today's show. Mitchell Rentz from Chat Sports, ready and eager to walk you through all of them. We're going to be talking about some younger players, some free agents, and some news around Danielle Hunter, which is actually where we're going to be starting today's show. So Adam Schefter, you might have heard him before, he was on Twitter, and he said Vikings defensive end Danielle Hunter has an $18 million roster bonus due today, and barring an unforeseen change. Remember, this is on March 19th. Let's say that. Minnesota plans to pay it and tie the two-time Pro Bowl selection to its team for the remaining 2 years on his contract. Now, Hunter has always been a player that I wish he would not have gotten hurt because when he's on the field, he's dominant. And I was really a believer that he was going to be one of the more dominant players for quite some time in the National Football League. 7 games last season. These are still unbelievable numbers. 38 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and then 10 quarterback hits. In his 6 seasons, okay, you're looking at 314 tackles, 73 tackles for loss, 60 and a half sacks, and then 90 quarterback hits. I mean, this is 6 seasons in Danielle Hunter's career. There's no doubt. If you're looking for a solid edge rusher, if you're looking for a good defensive end, this is what you're looking for. So in terms of, is it good that he's staying here with Minnesota? I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because this tells me that, fingers crossed, that he's healthy. The fact that the Green Bay Packers have Aaron Rodgers, the fact that Minnesota's given Kirk Cousins $35 million a year, this division, for the first time in a long time, I'd say is a little bit more open because we're always going to talk about Rodgers. The Packers have essentially owned this division for quite some time. But they don't have Devontae Adams anymore. And if you still want to be able to come out on top of this thing, you have to go ahead and try to make it work. Now, maybe they look to go ahead and give him a new deal. Maybe Hunter is willing to take some signing bonus type of money, restructure his contract a little bit, therefore freeing up more money for the Vikings to be able to go out and sign a few extra players in free agency. So let's look at this. I like these type of questions here because the fluxes can be so much, right? If Hunter plays 17 games, I would say I'm going to bet my house he's going to get double-digit sacks. However, can you rely on him playing that many games? So let me know down in the comments how many sacks for Danielle Hunter next season. Next player that we're going to be talking about here is quarterback Kellen Mond. And there's been a few rumors, few articles out there like Vikings Wire suggesting that Minnesota should move on from Kellen Mond. Now, there's been a few other reports out there that, they could re-sign Sean Mannion, who I've always been very curious about since he's come out of Oregon State. But Mond was raw coming out. And, I mean, you can take that in a few different ways, but there's no meaningful reps to be able to go around. I was never a fan of Kellen Mond when he was coming out of college. He was a good, fun prospect in college, but you got to be able to face the fact, if you're not accurate and you don't have the upper echelon of arm strength, sure, he can run around, but he was never going to be a successful NFL quarterback, and simply, the Vikings just missed on it. This is what Jordy McElroy of Vikings Wire had to say on the potential of moving on from Mond. There's a real possibility, assuming the Mannion deal goes through, that Mond could be a third-string quarterback for a second straight season. This isn't meant to be some pity party for Mond, who could very well show up in training camp and give O'Connell something to think about. At the end of the day, his play will ultimately decide where he ranks on the depth chart of Vikings quarterbacks. Spielman hoped he'd get better, and Zimmer wasn't interested. How will Adolfo-Mensa and O'Connell feel? So how is the new general manager, how's the new head coach going to feel about Kellen Mond? And personally, I've seen a lot of the quarterbacks that O'Connell has worked with. They don't remind me of Kellen Mond. He's got the tallness, he's got the length, he's got this and that. But I watched him in preseason, and I watched him at Texas A&M, and I could have told you, was never going to be a good NFL quarterback. So the fact that Zimmer didn't like him whatsoever, that doesn't give you a lot of vote for confidence. But now you're going into a new regime. Maybe they're going to go ahead and like him a little bit more. Who knows? I mean, you've even seen some NFL teams try to use more mobile quarterbacks in certain situations. Personally, I don't think you should take Kirk Cousins off the field, whether what I think about Kirk Cousins or not. Kirk Cousins gives you a better option every single play than Kellen Mond would. So you guys can go ahead and let me know down in the comments right now. Type C for cut, or I want you to go ahead and type K for keep. What should the Vikings do with Kellen Mond? If they do decide to go ahead and cut him, well, hey, we're going to make a video about it. And while you're down there, let me know. Cut, keep. Why don't you hit that subscribe button? Why don't you turn on those notifications? Because if I've learned anything over the past 24, that's a lie, a week and a half, anything is possible in the National Football League. And I mean anything. And if there's some big NFL news that are going down, like we just got an update here at Chat Sports that the Indianapolis Colts could go ahead and trade for Matt Ryan. That might not impact you guys directly, but taking another good quarterback out of the NFC, that kind of impacts you at least a little bit. Let's go to the next player that we're going to talk about here. It's Patrick Peterson. And Peterson has been very vocal about wanting to stay in Minnesota, and whether or not they decide to bring him back is kind of another story. However, the Vikings are not going to be bringing back Mackenzie Alexander, who's a little bit more to be in the slot. They need cornerback help, no doubt about it. And maybe they decide to go ahead and try to get Stephon Gilmore. Don't think they have the money to do it. Or some of these other cornerback options like a Steven Nelson. Would it be maybe just smarter to bring back Patrick Peterson? So this is what Chris Tomason had to say on Twitter. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Free agent cornerback Patrick Peterson just went on NFL Network and reiterated he wants to re-sign with the Vikings. He also mentioned Kansas City and Dallas as possibilities. So that tells me Patrick wants to stay in Minnesota, but if he has a chance to go chase a ring with Kansas City, or if he can make a little bit more money being a face of the Dallas Cowboys, maybe not the face, but having a face in Dallas, you do end up making a little bit more money. So I've always been steady on this point. If you're unable to bring in other solid cornerbacks, I still think you can bring back Peterson. He's a veteran. He still can play at an above average type of level. And worst case scenario, he's somebody who you have it in the defense yet again. Again, he did not play up to the Patrick Peterson household name type of standards like you were so accustomed to seeing, but you were still able to go out and rely on Peterson. In terms of Mackenzie Alexander, 51 tackles last season, no interceptions, 5 pass breakups. He's not going to end up coming back. So now I need to know, should the Vikings re-sign Peterson? If you're like, yes, Mitch, they absolutely should. I want you to go ahead and type that Y for yes. If you're like, no, he might be a little bit too expensive, I don't think it's the best fit, then go ahead and type that N for no. Whether or not Peterson signs or re-signs, we're going to keep you up to date here. So make sure you hit those notification bell, and make sure you hit that big red button underneath the video that says subscribe.